He had no sword, no title, no protection, but he survived, and even thrived, in a world ruled by steel. This isn't a fantasy epic. This is a true story from Edo period Japan, a time we often imagine as peaceful and serene. But peace did not mean safety. It was a society built on a rigid hierarchy where samurai held the power of life and death, merchants held the money, and that imbalance created a constant, simmering tension. In this world, a man named Kinokuniya Bunzaemon was born. He was nobody. The son of a small fisherman with no formal education and no social status to speak of. All he possessed was a burning ambition. As a young man, he left his small village and traveled the roads of Japan, his mind set on making a fortune. He chose a difficult trade, selling timber. It was a high-risk, high-reward business. One successful shipment could set you up for life. But one mistake, one delay, one powerful person you offended, and you could lose everything. One fateful night. This is exactly what happened. Bunzaemon's shipment of valuable lumber was stopped at a guarded checkpoint. Standing in his way was a samurai officer, his hand resting on the hilt of his katana. The officer was in a foul mood, visibly looking for an excuse to assert his authority. In that era, a single accusation from a samurai, whether true or false, could lead to the confiscation of all his goods. Or worse, it could cost him his life. This was the moment of truth. Bunzaemon, a commoner with nothing but his wits, faced a man who could kill him without consequence. What would you do? Argue, plead, try to offer a bribe. Bunzaemon did none of those things. He did something unexpected. He bowed deeply, lower than protocol required. He showed absolute, unquestioning respect. He didn't make excuses or beg for mercy. Instead, when he finally spoke, his voice was calm and measured. "Honorable sir," he began, his eyes still fixed on the ground. "My deepest apologies for this delay. This interruption dishonors the schedule I promised my lord." Then he added the crucial part. "And by extension, it dishonors the smooth and efficient running of this checkpoint which your lord has entrusted to you." The samurai paused. His anger began to recede, replaced by a flicker of confusion, then consideration. Bunzaemon had done something brilliant. He hadn't challenged the samurai's authority. He had reinforced it. He framed the problem not as his own, but as a shared one that threatened the honor of both their masters. In a society where face and honor mattered more than gold, this was a masterful move. He wasn't a merchant begging a warrior. He was one professional speaking to another about their duties. He shifted the blame from himself to the circumstances, and from the officer to a shared code of honor. He continued, speaking quietly and respectfully, offering a solution that allowed the officer to look strong and magnanimous. He wasn't just asking to pass. He was providing the samurai with a reason to let him pass, a reason that preserved everyone's pride. The tension in the air dissolved. The samurai, his authority validated and his honor intact, waved him through. The checkpoint opened. The goods passed. That single shipment, saved by a few carefully chosen words, was the foundation of his fortune. From that point on, Bunzeman's rise was meteoric. He took bigger risks, made smarter deals, and his wealth grew exponentially. Years later, Kinokuniya Bunzaemon was one of the richest and most influential merchants in all of Japan. Samurai lords, the very men who once held power over him, now came to him to borrow money. He still couldn't carry a sword, and he still had to bow to them in public. But in private, he held their finances in his hands. He never wielded a blade, but he had mastered a weapon far sharper and more versatile. Words. He understood timing. He understood psychology. Most importantly, he understood the true nature of power. He knew that brute force was only one small part of it. The real power lay in understanding people's motivations, their fears, and their pride. In the rigid, unforgiving world of Edo Japan, not all battles were fought on a field with swords. The most important ones were often fought in conversations, in negotiations, at checkpoints in the middle of the night. They were won by reading the room, by understanding the unwritten rules, and by choosing the right sentence at the right time. Kinokuniya Bunzaemon died an incredibly wealthy man. But more importantly, he died a free man, a master of his own destiny, in a world designed to keep him in his place. His story is a timeless lesson. In a rigid system, in any situation where you feel powerless, the smartest move isn't always to fight back with force. Sometimes it's about knowing how to bend without breaking. It's about finding the cracks in the wall and using intelligence, not aggression, to slip through. Because the sharpest mind will always find a way to win, even without a sword. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden histories. See you next time.